Welcome back to another episode of the Jacob Johnston Show. So the kids are in the house. If you hear anything, I'm not going to bother to edit it out. So anyways, we know that Joe Biden's out. Kamala Harris is in. Yay, they tricked us. They pulled a fast one on us, even though we saw this coming for an entire year. Everybody knew on the right that they were going to replace Joe Biden, and we all knew it was going to be Kamala Harris as the first replacement, at least. And they give her a test run because they can't just bypass her. But I guess they did surprise us on one thing, how much backlash there is on the left to Kamala Harris. You know, that was a shocker. I mean, I never would have thought that Black Lives Matter would have came out and asked for the option to vote for a different choice. So I guess to some extent, there is some surprise. But as I've been researching the polls, the algorithms of YouTube have started pushing different videos from different channels into my feed. Now, if I were to go just by what the algorithms are pushing into my feed, I could get the impression that, wow, there is overwhelming support in the black community. Whatever black community means, I don't really understand identity politics. I assume that if people are part of a group, that it's about their ideology, their beliefs, that they all agree on something policy-wise. It has to be more than just skin color, I would assume. But, as far as it goes, these are the terms that we go with. And if I make a statement about a community, which I'm probably not going to make much of, understand that it's probably going to be an overly broad statement that is far from accurate for, most of the people in the group, or half of the people in the group, or whatever. But anyways, in the videos that have gone on here, I'm getting channels such as Anton Daniels, and I've checked out a few of his videos. Pretty reasonable guy, seems like someone you could have a good debate with, conversation with. Some things you'll agree with, some things you'll disagree with, some things about topics you've never researched, so you don't have any actual opinion of. But in this, and I'm going to show you a clip from one of his videos. I'm going to show you a clip, and it's not anything he says that I want to talk about. It's what the caller says in there. And I have a bit of a cold, so if I have a little trouble speaking, just bear with me. But it's the caller in the video that I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and roll the clip, and then we'll get into the discussion.
And that the party is not meant for black people. It's all meant for white people, white old men, and anybody who joins the Republican Party as a black person is nothing but a trinket.
So how is it racist? Explain to me how it's racist.
Well, I'm not. Well, what I'm saying is that you don't see any Kamala, the vice president we got right now. She's a black woman. Barack Obama was the first black president.
He didn't do shit for black people. What you talking about?
I'm not talking about whether he did something or not, but the thing is that he rolled up the rank in the Democrat Party, but black people had no chance to. They know the Republican Party is not going to put a black man on the presidential platform. That's not going to happen.
What difference do it make whether you black or not? What happened to I don't care about identity politics. I care about the person that's going to do the best job. And so you said out of your mouth that if you are part of the Republican Party, it is a racist party. Tell me how.
But you're not going to move up the rank. That's what I'm saying. Wait. So
now you backtracking. You're not saying that it's a racist party. You saying that you're not going to move up the ranks because you're black.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. But basically, the argument is Republicans are racist. Why? I don't know. I don't see enough black people, in my opinion, in the party. Okay, what about this one or this one or this one? Oh, but those are token. Those aren't, real examples somehow. So let me get this straight. If there isn't enough, based on your opinion, then that's proof of racism. But if there is, then that's proof of racism because of tokenism. damned if you do, damned if you don't. Therefore, it's a logic that guarantees that you're always going to have this view and it's never going to change. Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to talk about, group as a whole based off of polling numbers. So if I were to take a look at the results of the 2020 election, I see that the, vote of, black people broke something like 90% for the Democrat Party. Do you think out of those who voted for the Democrats that they, ran for office in the Republican Party? I'm guessing not. So if you're going to say that 92% vote Democrat and you're waiting for the 8% that don't vote Democrats to run in the Republican Party, you're not going to get a large number of black representatives in the Republican Party because you're not running for election in the Republican Party. You're not giving us the option to hear your ideas and vote for you in the Republican Party. You actually have to enter the race. It's like asking why you didn't win any gold medals in the Olympics and you didn't participate in the Olympics. So that's my overall point on that, as far as why you don't see more black people elected in office on the Republican side. You have to actually run in the election to get elected. That's the simple answer. But I want to point out that just because you enter the race doesn't guarantee you will win. You have to actually compete on ideas. You can't just do identity politics and go, look at my skin color, now vote for me. That doesn't work on the Republican side. You have to actually have a set of ideas, and then you have to be able to articulate those ideas and have those and show yourself as the best champion of those ideas. Whoever that is gets the vote. Well, sometimes that's a woman. Sometimes that is, a Hispanic male, Asian woman. Sometimes that is, go through every variation of every race and gender. Sometimes that's the person. But they all competed in the election for the vote to get the office. It's really just that simple. But just like you can't jump into the Republican election and go vote for me, identity politics, you also can't jump into the Republican elections, promote a bunch of Democrat policies, and expect to get elected. I mean, obviously. But, and to some extent, your ability to break through the noise, is going to depend somewhat on, whether or not you get any actual coverage, which is not me, then that's going to be the media, or your ability to market on social media. But luckily, we tend to at times go through research who's actually running in the race and try to look them up. But yeah, if you don't run, you're not going to get elected. All right. So now there is another video that I want to take a look at. And on this, you're going to see somebody, on the screen because I took it off of a channel that was reviewing this video. But there were some statements in there that were made that need to be addressed. All right. Because while I, want to help, there is so much in here that makes me just want to, throw my hands up in the air and just say, forget it. So here we go. Clip number 2.
That 1994 crime bill has put a hurting on the African American community. And Democrats are responsible for the conditions that we see in many of the black communities around the country. Black Chicago, Baltimore, DC, Philadelphia, Houston. All of these cities are suffering with lack of opportunities for African Americans, okay? And African Americans are still struggling in these cities. We all know that. But the reality is this: Republicans also have racial bigots attached to their platform. And they're not just white people, all right? We know about the alt-right and Richard Spencer. But you also have non-blacks who do the dirty bidding of racist Republicans. And these are people like the Andrew Tates of the world, Myron from Fresh and Fit. You have Saniko, okay? And then you have your whites like Just Pearly Things. All of these are big time influencers for Donald Trump. And if these racial bigots were not there, I think a lot of the blacks would vote for Trump. He has charisma. He might be a liar here and there, like every politician, but everybody lies. Bill Clinton lied. Joe Biden lies. Ronald Reagan lied. The thing is, Donald Trump and Republicans want to give blacks more than what Democrats do, and they're willing to have the conversation. But the issue is the blatant racism on the right. It is too hard to stomach. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So this is Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit. This is a Sudanese American guy who has a big problem with the African American community, also known as the Foundational Black American or #ADOS community. He writes, FBA equals frequently being all day. UPs were born in the greatest country in the world, speak English, get free education and endless government welfare programs, but want to cry about white supremacy. Again, these are traditional Republican talking points towards the black community. Let me be candid and tell you what everyone else outside the FBA community thinks, but will never say because American blacks love to call everyone racist. You're lazy, ungrateful crybabies that be about everything when you have more opportunity than 90% of human beings on earth. Try coming from a war-torn country, not speaking English, with no money to your name, and making something out of the opportunities FBAs didn't take advantage of because the man allegedly held you back. Shut up, stop crying, put in the work, and stop blaming others for your faults or allowing the government to give you a handout your great-great-granddad is entitled to, not you. The victim mindset in the black community is literally a fast-growing cancer, and I'm the only one with the balls to call you lazy Fs out. Now, if you go on this post on Twitter, which is right there on his page, there's 314,000 views, 2,800 likes, and you will see a lot of Caucasians commenting underneath this post. You see that particular tweet there written by Myron, a person who's attacking the African American community. It's a lot of likes, a lot of retweets, and we would assume that a lot of those people are Caucasians, racist Caucasians, you would believe. And you don't see anybody on that Twitter post saying, hey bro, you're wrong. You shouldn't talk about the black community like that. You don't. You see a lot of people on the white right that actually agree with such sentiments, because the Republican Party have built their sentiments towards the African American community based on those talking points, based on the fact that you should pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You know, you should work harder. You should do this, you know, a very paternalistic attitude.
Okay. So I want to unpack a lot here because he just makes it really hard to want to like him. All right. So first off, if your opening argument is you're racist and bigoted unless you prove to me otherwise, my response is piss off. I'm out. I'm not going to do this whole I must prove to you that I'm not a racist when I haven't done anything to you to show you that I am a racist. I'm not, you know, I'm sick of this. I am absolutely sick of this always being the opening argument that just because I'm a certain skin color, I'm racist. And yet you're actually saying racist things, textbook definition, and yet it's somehow not racism for you, right? The fact that you just judge other people as racist automatically just because. Yeah, what do you think that is? You know, it is irritating, infuriating, you know, that this is going through. And why do you think that? Well, you say, well, there are racists and bigots on the right after you just said there are racists and bigots on the left. So, what is your expectation? That there could be a 100% elimination of all hatred and racism in the hearts of people in the entire country? I'm not even sure that's possible. You can't get 100% agreement on everything. But if your statement is, if 0.00001% of the population says something that you don't like or you perceive as racist, it means the other 99.99999% of the people that aren't saying it are racist if they don't seek those people out specifically to condemn them. That is ridiculous. Right? It is ridiculous. I'm not going to spend all my time searching the billions of users throughout, the different social media platforms to try and find a few racists in order to condemn them for you. Right? I'll condemn them when I see them. Right? But I'm not going to specifically search them out. Right? That is an impossible task. Now, I've heard this guy before, the Tate guy, right? What was it? Andrew Tate, right? And something about some controversy a while back. So before getting on here, I looked him up, right? On Google search, found a Wikipedia page about him. And the two takeaways that I have is he lives in Romania and his audience comes from a collection of 6 to 9 different countries. So we're not even talking about people specifically in the US or comments left on their page from US people. So now we're not even talking about just conservatives in the United States that you perceive as supporting this. But now if anybody anywhere in the world says something and anybody in the world comments in support of that, that somehow means that we conservatives or Republicans in the United States support that, and therefore we're racist. You understand how ridiculous of an argument that is? And then let's go through and take a look at your suggestion that we dive into the comments in order to specifically denounce them. That is a horrible idea. First of all, you're just saying in your own words that you're assuming that the comments are positive and support and that it's all white Caucasians. Okay, when you say the word that you're assuming, does that mean you didn't actually check? You're just making an assumption about it based off of your own preconceived notions? I mean, if you actually checked, you should actually say that you checked, not just make the assumption. But if you're going to make the assumption without actually reading it and then talk about the number of comments, well, if you're not reading the comments, but you want us to go into the comments to denounce it, but you're only going to make an assumption about what the comment said and then use the comment count as somehow supporting your argument, then wouldn't us jumping in to denounce it add to the comment count, and therefore you would just use that to declare as more evidence that we're racist? So if we don't do it, we're racist. But if we do it, you can use that as evidence of increased racism. Damned if we do, damned if we don't. What a choice. But then let's also take a look at what would happen beyond just adding to the comment count. Right? The algorithms. So if I jump in, I comment, and even to denounce it, right? Assuming that the content actually is racist. I've never read anything from this Andrew guy. And the only thing I know about that fresh and fit guy is what you displayed on the screen, right? But I don't know about the other two that you talked about either. But let's assume the content, is racist for the sake of argument. And I go in there and I comment on it. The algorithm's going to take my interaction with it and put more of that content in my feed as a recommendation. But if you see that in my feed somehow, some way, you're going to assume and call me racist, because why would that content be in my feed if I wasn't engaged in it and the algorithms didn't think I would like to see more of it? Right? We're going down this rabbit hole. Are you starting to understand? And then if a large enough number of us jump into the comments, even to denounce it, that huge boost in the comments not only puts that stuff into our feeds for us interacting with it, but it tells the algorithm this is getting a lot of interaction. Let's boost it even more to other people who have not yet seen it, which then causes it to spread even more, which then leads you to try and claim even more about the rising amount of racism online and claim that it's from the conservative right. Your whole idea of what we should be doing to prove to you that we're not racist would actually, based off of how you argue, tell you that there is bigger racism. The damned if you do, damned if you don't. Whether we take action or don't take action, you're going to label us racist. And that is a problem. That is, the big issue, with everything that we go on. And it just feeds into your perception, your preconceived notion. And then who says that conservatives don't denounce it elsewhere, right? I mean, we saw in 2016 with Donald Trump, right? There was this issue about that Spencer guy, whatever, that, endorsed Donald Trump. The media went off on it. Trump denounced him repeatedly, said white supremacy is sickening, horrible, really trashed that guy and his ideology. What did the media do? They cut out all their clips to leave off all of him denouncing them, rebuking, or whatever term that you use, his endorsement, and then kept asking, why won't he, denounce it? Why won't he, rebuke them? He was doing it until he was blue in the face. So if you're searching on, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, waiting for them to show you a clip of us denouncing it, you're never going to see it. They're never going to show you because that's not the narrative that they want you to see. So have you been seeking out conservative media? Now, if you do, you'll see denouncements from time to time of what we're aware of, right? But we're not going to spend all day, every day and every last second of every episode denouncing it. One, because we wouldn't be able to talk about anything else if we talked about it enough to satisfy you, apparently. But also, what would that do? In order to denounce something, just like you did, we would read the statement and then denounce it. How would that play if we did that on podcasts and YouTube? Someone would take the clip, cut out the fact that we are talking about who we are, quoting, cut out the part about us condemning it, and then all you would hear is us reading it as they attribute it to us saying it, which only feeds into the Republicans are racist narrative anyways. So is there anything that we can do, one way or the other, in which it wouldn't be used against us to claim that we are somehow racist party, that we are racist? It seems like you're still stuck in the marketing of what you were told to believe about the Republican Party the entire time. Now, is that to say that there is a 0% racist population? Now, I'm sure there are a few here and there, right? Do I hear them? Do I know who they are? No. But, maybe I'm not a fair example. I don't exactly go out, to a lot of large gatherings. So I don't really hear, anybody, saying anything, of racist, content within the groups that I'm involved in or speak about or have any communication with, right? I don't know 100% of everybody, but I can tell you that if your perception is that this is, encouraged, it's not. Or that we're complicit, it's not. But I also understand that the more you engage with racists, the more they like it. The best thing that I know what to do is to starve them of the attention that they seek. That's all I know how to do to be able to stop them. Oh, damn cold. All right. Now, to get on, to the other point. Let's see here, that fresh and fit guy, whatever his name is. I'd have to go back to the video to figure out what his name is. Now, when he was doing the post, right, I had to look up what FBA is, right? I thought it was like, people are complaining about fulfilled by Amazon? That lets you know how much I do not research identity politics, right? But I do understand, the rest of the comments, that he was making, right? About the idea that there are people out there. And by the way, when I'm talking here, I'm addressing you specifically in the video, right? I don't know what percentage of the total black population agrees with you or disagrees with you. I have no idea. I can't speak about, generically about the entire population. I'm only speaking directly with you, right? And if anybody else is watching that, agrees with the points, that you made, then yes, I'm addressing them as well. But outside of that, I'm not addressing them because as far as I'm concerned, they're not really a part of this overall conversation, that I'm having with you, right? As I'm addressing you and what you said in the video. All right. So about that fresh and fit guy, right? Now, again, I had to research what that FBA is. Now, you want to go off and, condemn the statement, about this is a talking point or, whatever. Have you ever considered that it wasn't directed at the overall population, but just to a direct part of the population that is set in a victimhood mindset, which, again, I don't know what the overall population size of that is, but the whole pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Well, who else is going to pull you up? Right? I assume here from the video that you have a successful YouTube channel. Maybe you have an audience. Did someone else do that for you, or did you do it for yourself? You managed to be able to break out of the obstacles and manage to build something. Did you build that, or did someone else build it and hand it to you? Right? Now you could talk about maybe along the way, some people helped you here and there. And you know what? That's fine. Provide a little bit of help here and there. But by and large, most people, their success and failure is dependent upon their own actions and decisions. That's the only way it ever works. So if the expectation is that you're going to condemn everyone that says, you're going to have to, put in the work yourself, how are you condemning that? Right? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. Are you trying to promote that everything should just be handed to other people on a silver platter? Is that the expectation? Because that is not what the Republican Party offers anybody. We only ever offer an equal playing field, equal rights, equal justice, and we try to get the government out of your way as much as possible. That's it. We don't care what your gender is, what your race is. You don't get any preferential treatment, and you don't get treated as less than anybody. Right? That's it. But that also means that your results are based off of your decisions and your actions. What is controversial to that? Now, from the video, as I watched later on, saying that, well, there are obstacles. Okay. Well, if what that post says is true, that guy came from a war-torn country, didn't speak English, and didn't have a penny to his name. I'd say there was a lot of obstacles in that, and he managed to get somewhere I assume is successful. What? You have more obstacles than that? If you do, what are those obstacles? How did they happen? Are those obstacles the result of policies? Who voted for those policies? Well, if I take a look, and this is the only thing I'm extrapolating to the entirety of the population, 9 out of 10 people who are classified as black voted for the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party, what? They control Chicago and say they control the state legislature of Illinois. So if you live in Chicago, which, by the way, if you live outside of Chicago, you're not responsible for anything that happens in Chicago, right? So let's make that clear. But if you live in Chicago, you voted for a group of people. They implemented policies that created obstacles and destroyed your community. And then you go back in the next election and vote for them again. Guess whose fault that is? Who's responsible for those obstacles then? Not me. I don't even live anywhere near Chicago. I don't live anywhere in the state of Illinois. I'm not responsible for that. I have no ability to control that. But if you live in Chicago, you do. You have a choice with your vote. So if the policies are creating the hindrance, vote for different policies. But if you're expecting us to step in and change the policies for you that you are voting for, we're not going to force it on you. You have to accept it. You have to vote for it. I'm trying to use an analogy here about what I see as the visceral reaction to the pull yourself up by the bootstraps, work harder, the reaction to that, that the guy in this video is reacting to negatively as claims of racism. So it's like, and as I use this analogy, keep in mind, I'm not talking about people who are disabled and in a wheelchair, right? But basically it's saying, hey, we need to get to the grocery store. It's like, okay. We respond with, you got 2 legs. They work just as good as ours. You can walk there. Yay. And you respond with, well, that's racist. It's like, why? Because our leg hurts. It hurts when I walk. Well, why does it hurt? Because I shot myself in the foot. Well, don't shoot yourself in the foot. You're racist. That's basically the argument and an analogy. And you understand how that is frustrating and infuriating. That you want to claim to be victims of something that you keep voting for. And then use that, when we respond to vote for something different by calling us racist. Again, no matter what, we're racist. No matter what we do, no matter what we say, no matter what, we're blamed for the decisions resulting from the vote. Now, if the vote was a lot closer, right, to say 50-50, right, we would be having a completely different discussion here, right? If the vote was closer to, even 46-55, and then these policies were still being implemented, we would be having a much different discussion about what to do, how to organize, how to eliminate those barriers. But when the vote is 90%, you understand? Yeah. And the excuse, just like, the excuses of the roadblocks because of the policies that you vote for, the excuses to why why you wouldn't vote Republican, or like you're trying to justify voting for Republican despite what you know about the results of the voting Democrat, right? Yes, they're racist. Yes, our views individually, or our views as a whole, which I don't know what the views of black people as a whole is, I don't know how much, or what percentage you speak for, but, the vast majority of our views, align with the Republican Party, but we vote Democrat because Republicans are somehow racist, insert reasons. There's always an excuse. There's always a way out. There's always blame somebody else. And that is frustrating. That is infuriating. Right? That you, and I'm asking you now personally in your response, in the last election, who did you vote for? Did you vote Democrat or Republican? The election before that, who did you vote for? The election before that, who did you vote for? It seems like there's just excuse after excuse for why you keep voting Democrats and then complaining about the results. And an excuse why you won't vote for Republicans, even though you claim to agree and align with Republican values. Right? We don't want excuses. We don't accept excuses, especially when the excuses is somehow not to be responsible for the results of your decisions. That's it. And I get it. People are going to comment down in the comment section, you're a racist, you're a bigot. Guess what? Apparently, if I don't record the video, and then I'm still going to be called those names. If I comment and to denounce racism and bigotry, then I just add to it and I'm a racist. And if I don't, I'm a racist. Your argument is no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how I present the information, I'm racist, no matter what. And guess what? That is another part of the problem. Have you ever figured out that you can attract, what is the old saying? Attract more flies with honey than vinegar? And yet, you hear a lot of vinegar from this guy. Right? And I'm sure anybody who follows him probably agrees mostly with what he is saying. Well, and again, this is only for those that all they want to do is piss and moan, but keep making the same decisions and somehow expect the results to change. So anyways, that is my take on this. Right? Let me know, do you agree? Do you disagree? Try to make your argument without having to resort to, you're a racist if you don't have one. All right? So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will be back again soon.